Hey everybody, tonight I'm heading over to Bill Schiniger's house. Some of you have already maybe seen a video I did with him about a year ago. Bill Schiniger's pretty well known with his Plott dogs. He currently has some of the best Plotts in the country. So we're gonna go hunting tonight, and I'll show you guys a breed that isn't talked about very much and kind of shine a light on them so you can see what they can do. Hope you enjoy the video. Thanks for watching. So you just want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Okay, I'm Bill Schiniger. Been hunting Plotts for about 10 years, I guess. I got a little business, side business that I started here called Saddle Up Canine Cryo. My kennel name's Saddle Up Plotts. Started this as basically a hobby for me. I saw a need for the service. I wasn't getting what I needed from the reproductive clinics, so I started this out on my own. I guess I'll tell a little bit more about it.
You said you've been hunting with Plotts for about 10 years. What did you hunt before that?
Well, I started hunting when I was about, I don't know, just a youngster. Grew up in a Catholic family. I was the oldest of 6 kids, and my dad was a coon hunter, and it's kind of his job to take the oldest boys coon hunting to give mom a little break from us. So I started out when I was 4 or 5 years old, going along with dad. He was a Bluetick man at heart. In his later years, he had some good walkers, some Pac-Man bred dogs. It was in the early years of GPS, or actually in the early years of tracking systems. We had to follow them with old beat collars. But I guess I grew up with those old Blueticks and that listen to the sound of the hound, and that was kind of what I was passionate about. When we started hunting those walkers, it just wasn't that much fun for me. I remember Dad sitting on the tailgate, he'd check the watch when we turn the dogs loose, and in 10 minutes we tried to figure out which section they were in. And it just wasn't my thing. Life happens. I was in my 20s at the time, and Dad was in his 50s, and it was time for me to start taking over some of the responsibilities of the family business and the farm. And like I say, life happens, interest change. I took a break from really serious coon hunting for about 30 years. Like I say, I hunted with Dad some. He had dogs, and he had some arthritis and broke his foot up pretty bad, and he hunted off of mules, and he enjoyed me going along with that. But my heart really wasn't in it. It was just something I did to do with my dad for a long time there. And then when I got into the Plotts, my nephew got him a nice dog, and I thought I'd like to go along a little bit. And I didn't even know what a Plott hound was. A neighbor that coyote hunted with, someone said that there's a guy down the road that's got a couple of coon hounds you might want to get rid of. And I went down there, and he had a male and a female Plott in the kennel, and he said I could have either one I wanted for $100. And I just had knee surgery. I don't need that big male dragging me around. I'll take that female. And she just turned out to be an outstanding dog. I'd never seen anything like it. She had such a good handle on her. She loved to please. I just fell in love with the Plott hound at that time. One of the things that to this day impressed me so much about her was we'd turn her loose in the yard, and she'd run around the yard doing her own thing. She'd be, I'd get 200 yards away, and I'd say, time to call her in, and her name was Baby Girl, and I'd say, Baby Girl, come. And she would just run as hard as she could to you, and she would just slide on her haunches right up to you and think she was gonna knock you over and just sit right there in front of you. And man, you can't help but like a dog that's gonna come like that when you call them. I mean, She was super fast. I only hunted her for about a month a season before she got killed, but we caught more coon on the ground. She was just a little dinky dog, and she was digging them out of holes and catching them on the ground. I saved a lot on ammo that year. So she got killed. She was I'm sure it was a coyote den, crawled in there, and I think I heard a terrible fight in there, and I think the sand is caving in on them. And I called my wife and we dug and probed and dug and probed, and actually while I was waiting on my wife to come, the coon came out and looked at me and went back in. After about 4 hours, I went home, and the next morning she got out and she was dead on the road. Boy, I was brokenhearted about it, but you know, I thought about considering giving up hunting, but I didn't know anything about Plott bloodlines, never even looked at her papers. And I looked at her puppy papers then, and I saw that her sire was out of a dog named Cowboy Up. So I did a little Google search on Cowboy Up and found a gentleman in Indiana that at that time owned the dog, and I gave him a call and he said he had some pups, and I went out there and got another pup, and she turned into be an excellent dog. And after about halfway through the first season on her, I'm 51 years old at that time, and I'm thinking that I've never competition hunted. My dad never encouraged me to do it. I just hadn't heard good things about it. But the thing I regretted about Baby Girl was nobody ever saw her go except for me.
No.
And I said that my Sadie dog, she deserved to go to town. I either had to learn to be a competition hunter, or she deserved to go to somebody else. So that's how I got started in the competition business and in the Plott business.
All right. So you said you have that cryo business. You want to talk some more about that?
So I had this Sadie female, and you know, times had changed and things had happened, and we you know, social media happened, and I communicated with a guy on Facebook that had a dog that was similarly bred to Sadie. Actually out of Cowboy, and he was in southern Wisconsin, and we had made a verbal agreement that I would breed to his dog someday. And one day I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see this dog, and man, that's the dog I was going to breed Sadie to. So I called the guy, Josh By. I call him. We worked out a deal, and I met him in Chicago and picked the dog up, brought him home. Nice male, Linko Valentine is his name. He was a show champion, night champion. He was 1 win away from the water champion, 1 win away from a field champion. And I brought him home, and the first thing I'm going to do is make an appointment to get him frozen before something happens. Before I ever took him to the woods, I took him out to Never Gone, and Dean says, oh, he's a pretty old male. He's 7 years old. 7, I hope that's not old. He drew him, and he said he's too old to freeze. And I said, what? You gotta be kidding me. And I begged and begged and begged. And I says, just do what you can for me. So he ended up freezing him, and I took him back on 2 or 3 more times. He said he was too old to freeze. I took him to at least one other repo clinic 2 different times. They told me he was too old to freeze. And I just couldn't understand why, if I understood that, you know, the probability of getting a nice litter of pups wasn't good. If I'm paying the bill, why won't you do it?
Yeah.
So, you know, I like to learn. I like to learn things that other people don't know. And Dean told me he wasn't going to teach me. He said his business was a knowledge-based business. And if he taught me, his business wouldn't have any value. And he'd been looking into selling his business anyway, but he didn't seem to think I was the guy for the business. So I kept snooping around, did a lot of reading, did a lot of research. I finally found somebody that would teach me. But the reason I wanted to learn was because I wanted to freeze an older dog.
Yeah.
And then, in addition to that, I wanted to teach fellow houndsmen that you need to get your dogs frozen when they're young.
Yeah.
Get it done. That's kind of been my mission, my passion to tell people is, you know, you've got a young male that's shown a lot of promise. First thing you do is bring him in here, let's draw him, let's check him, and make sure that he's good. You'll be surprised how many young males are sterile. And it's so sad to see a guy spend 2-3 years campaigning a dog, a lot of money invested, high hopes to have some pups off him someday, and find out that he's sterile. It's never going to happen. And so the moral of the story is a dog should be frozen between 18 months and 5 years of age, or the ideal time. You can freeze them anytime,
Right.
but the probability that the sperm is going to wake up and be viable is a lot less when a dog gets older. I don't know why it's that way, but it's just the way it is. We have some new extenders that are working better on older dogs. But I guess back to the reason that those repo clinics don't want to do it is because they know it doesn't wake up well, and they want to maintain a good reputation. Because until I got into this business, I'd never realized how much, you know, this guy has a dog frozen and he sells some semen to this guy, and that guy sells it to another guy, and then it gets shipped to a repo clinic in Utah. And you know, when that clinic gets that semen in, they say, oh, this was frozen at such and such a place. We always get good quality stuff from them. You'll surely get a nice litter of pups. And that's the reputation those repo clinics want to have. They don't want that reputation that, oh, Bill Schiminger, he freezes all them old dogs and probably not going to be any good. You probably won't get any pups. You're probably wasting your money. Nobody wants that reputation. I'm a little bit willing to take that chance because it's not my livelihood. This is a hobby. This is a pastime. This is something I do for friends and fellow houndsmen. So that's kind of how I got into it. I was fortunate to find somebody to teach me. That was kind of another story. I met these people at this clinic and had my dog checked and frozen, and I told them, I said, you know, I got a degree in animal science. I'm interested in learning. And they said, you know, come to our clinic sometime. We'll teach you. We like to teach. And I thought, okay. I said, you be careful about what you offer though. And 6 months later, I made a phone call to their clinic, and somebody just answered the phone. Just one of the employees there answered the phone. And I said, I got a dog I want to get collected and frozen, a female I want to breed. And he says, be here at 10 o'clock on Monday morning. I said, okay. I loaded up dogs and told my wife, I said, I'm leaving, I'm going to this clinic. I said, they say they're going to teach me. I don't know if I'm going to be there 2 hours or 2 days, but I'm going to stay as long as they'll have me. I got there at 10 o'clock on Monday morning and left at 5 o'clock on Friday. So, I mean, it was a great experience. We've maintained a great relationship. I've got relationships with lots of other clinics. We share information back and forth, and that's just part of the way the business works. And like I say, I'm not really taking business away from anybody. You know, Never Gone is not in business anymore, and I'm encouraging people to get your dogs frozen. I don't care if you come here. I have a list of people a mile long that are waiting for me to freeze their dogs. So it's not like I'm begging people to come to me. I want people to get your young dog checked, get your young dog frozen. You can always throw it out, but after he gets whacked on the road, it's all over. After he gets too old, it's all over. And you'd be surprised how fast time passes. You know, first thing you know, you got a 2.5-year-old dog that's doing pretty good. Boy, we ought to get some pups out of him. So you breed him to a female, and then those pups get to be 2 years old. I think, boy, it looks like he's going to reproduce. You know, so now your dog's 4.5 years old. Well, we should get him frozen. And then the way we all are, we all procrastinate. You procrastinate 2 more years, now he's 6.5. You're on borrowed time now. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just life. I mean, we all procrastinate a little bit. So, have a little foresight. Take my advice. Get it done.
Come on, hold up.
So what's this dog's name we're hunting?
This is Cowboy.
And he's out of Lazarus, right?
Yes, young male out of Lazarus. Kind of the dog we've been promoting and campaigning pretty much since last Plott days. I guess mostly since the first of the year. He's been doing a nice job for me. Pretty proud of him. High hopes for him. Don't have any pups out of him yet, so need to get a female bred and see what he can do for me.
All right, so while we wait on him to get struck and tree here, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. I have a Patreon page. I don't know if you know what that is or not, but
okay.
And people that subscribe on there, I let them kind of know what's going on ahead of time and give them the option to ask questions with people I'm hunting with.
Sure.
So the first question, hold that thought. Just struck in.
Yep. We'll see what he does. Go ahead, what's your question?
First question comes from David Pearson. He wants to know what age you start pups.
Well, it depends on what you call starting pups. And it depends a little bit how much time I have and what else I'm pushing. You know, I start fooling with the pup as far as teaching them some obedience commands. You know, at 12 weeks, my wife is phenomenal at working with pups, and she's got, if we aren't busy and we can have a pup in the house, it'll be house trained by the time it's 12 weeks old. But in the big picture, probably 9-10 months is time to take them to the woods at night. I like taking pups to the woods during the daytime, early in, you know, that's just something I like to do. But I know people that don't take them till after they're a year old. But I like to say 6 to 8 months, 10 months in that time. And every pup progresses differently, and you got to kind of read the pup. I have an 8-month-old pup at home that has just got a lot of play in it, and I've been busy, and I just don't have time to wear the play out of it, I guess. So, you know, you got to read the pup, I guess.
Then he also wants to know what techniques you use to start them.
Well, there's, and that again depends on how much time I have. I've started as early as the day they're born, where these guys had talked about imprinting, where you're rubbing Coon scent on the mother's underline, so that they associate that with reward. So I've done that. But like I say, obedience is something that's important to me. I like to see a dog working on leash, taking them for a ride in the truck at an early age so they don't get sick in the vehicle, I think is important. You know, teach them to get used to the water, comfortable with the water, go to the woods at daytime, let them use their nose and explore, get used to the smells and scents of the woods. That can all be done prior to 4 months old. But you just keep doing it and reading the pup and see how they respond. They'll tell you when they're ready and what they're ready for.
And then the final question, he wants to know when you think they're ready for competition hunts.
Lazarus was ready at 14 months, but I pulled him from some hunts because he wasn't ready for the bumping and grinding. I didn't want him to get discouraged. So I thought he needed to mature a little more, but he was capable and ready. But that's a personal preference, I guess. And some dogs aren't ready till 2 years old or plus, and that's another. You got to read the dog. Some lines are different. Some dogs are different. It's all pretty variable.
There's a dead tree there.
Boy.
Cut Cowboy loose, he treed and he had a coon.
Good boy. Good boy. I know. Cowboy likes to drink. Don't you, boy? Every road is paved in this county.
Yeah.
We're only about 20 miles from Toledo. A lot of people live out here, drive back and forth to work in Toledo. Like I said, I just didn't want a dog that was going to be blowing through the country and crossing roads. I guess I'm a little bit of a softie. I get attached to my dogs and just don't like seeing them get hit on the road. And it's just more enjoyable for me. Like I say, go back to those black and tan roots, and I like to be able to listen to the dog and hear the dog work. And like I say, just our timber is generally small. Anything more than 20 acres here is big.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff's 5 acres. So I need to be able to turn loose in there and get my dog caught.
Yeah.
I've been really fortunate with the line of dogs that I'm hunting. My one buddy says, you got to decide if you're going to have a competition dog or a pleasure dog. And I thought about it a while, and he hunted with me a little bit. He says that Lazarus and Cowboy are unicorns. What are you talking about? He says, because they're both.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's really what I want, is both.
Yeah.
I want a pleasure hunt. I mean, my competition days are kind of behind me, but I want to be able to go to town and not be embarrassed.
Right.
Be proud of what I got. So it just works out. These dogs, if you turn them loose alone, they don't go that deep. They don't go that hard. You turn them loose with another dog, they're gonna do whatever it takes. Unbelievable the drive that these dogs have to be out front, be a leader. And I guess I got a buddy up in Michigan that's kind of made himself famous by taking Plott hounds and making them four-way grand night champion, grand show champion, grand field champion, and grand water champion. And when I growing up and was early on, I didn't put much stock in those other titles other than the grand night champion, but in reality that really showcases the versatility of a dog.
Yeah, if it can do all of it.
Yeah, that's really pretty cool that a dog is that versatile. And I guess UKC describes the Plott as a hunter, herder, protector, and I mean, that's a pretty versatile dog.
Yeah.
So I don't know, there's some things about the Plotts that really draw me in. And I feel a little guilty about doing this video with you, Clayton, because there's a lot of guys been in the Plott hounds for generations, and I'm kind of a newbie to it. A lot of big game guys been in this, their fathers and grandfathers and great grandfathers been hunting big game with Plotts, and they're seasoned Plottsmen.
Yeah.
So, but I guess, I don't know, I kind of reflect on the thing that after we won Plott Days last year with Cowboy, the gentleman that I purchased that pup from out in Illinois, my Sadie pup, I thanked him for the start, and he shook my hand and he said to me, he says, I give everybody the same start, the same opportunity. He said, "You've just done more with it than most." And you know, I thought about that, and that's a pretty cool compliment.
Yeah.
You know, and that was pretty big of him to say that.
Yeah.
You know, I something I'll never forget. So that was a cool conversation.
Yeah.
Good boy, cowboy. Good boy.
You taking Lazarus out next?
Yep, we'll take Lazarus for a little bit.
All right.
See what he does for us. Actually, I drew him and he bred that female today, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he might be a little foolish. That ought to make some good video. Where is he, boy? Get on there, boy. Where is he? Good boy. Did he climb the bed, did he? You don't forget. Yeah, that a boy. That a boy.
Turned Lazarus loose. He went deep in there and treed and had a coon.
You're worried about that smell in that box, aren't you? You like to drink from the bucket, don't you? Lazarus. Need another drink? Now, boy. No? Need another drink? Sure. Yeah, enough? I served on the Soil and Water Board in our county for 20 years. Most of those years as chairman of the board. I own this woods here. There's a little spot beside this where we parked the truck there. It's an oak savanna. And one of the things that I think is important as hunters and houndsmen is that we give back. Our little hunting club here locally is called the Lytton Fox Hunters Club. We have people that are involved in all types of hunting, fox hunting, coyote hunting, deer hunting, turkey hunting, fishermen, people that hunt, you know, all different sorts of hunting. We support 4-H clubs, shooting sports, We've got a mission statement. We do volunteer work, clean up at a park. We serve meals at local festivals. But one of the things I think is important is I've dug at several of my woods. I get sick of seeing a whole litter of coons killed on the road when the mothers are nursing heavy, so I've dug these wildlife watering holes on the edge of the woods so that the critters have a place to come and get a drink. This is about 12 foot deep, really not taking any farmland out of production. Half of it's in the field, half of it's in the woods. It holds water all year long. I've got 2 of these. I encouraged one of my buddies to dig one. I'm going to dig a couple more, but it's just one of the ways I'm giving back, I guess. So I just think it's important that as sportsmen we're giving back to our communities and habitat. So just something I want.
Coming out of the woods.
Yep. There's another little path.